Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new webinar at Influencity. This time we have Dean from Gifta. Hello, Dean.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Today we are going to talk about product seeding campaigns or gifting campaigns. And I think we have probably one of the best person that we can have in our webinar to guide through all the points and critical processes that we have to follow in order to create and manage gifting campaigns or product seeding campaigns. So first of all, then just I don't know, introduce yourself and introduce also Gifta, what you guys do, and how many campaigns have you run since founded, and so on.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for complimentary introduction there as well. So I'm Dean. I co-founded Gifta back in 2020 with my co-founder Tom. Was a bit of a lockdown project, and we saw a gap in the market for influencer gifting and seeding. So that's what we specialize in. We're a closed loop service, I guess. So everything from influencer discovery, shortlisting, all the way from shipping and fulfillment. And then once the product's out there, we do all the content tracking and reporting. So as I say, we've been going for about 3 years now. As far as numbers go, we just did a sort of end of year wrapped post on LinkedIn. I think the numbers there, we've done just shy of 100 campaigns this year. I think generating there's over 8,000 boxes we sent out, generating like over 20,000 pieces of content, and that's obviously just this year alone. Still growing, and then big for next year.
Well, that's a huge milestone. I guess 100 campaigns is a big number. Okay, so well, first of all, also for all the audience, if anyone has doubts, questions, please, we have a chat. So feel free to ask any doubt or questions, and we will answer them. Okay, so let's start, I guess, from the beginning. For all those people who probably don't know exactly what is a product seeding campaign or a gifting campaign, what it is?
Yeah, so it's effectively what it is, right? We work on a gifting basis. I think that's what makes us different to a lot of agencies out there. There's no influencer contracts or payments, but where we differ is that we effectively offer a contra deal, right? So the idea is we're matching the right product with the right influencer and gifting that to them effectively in exchange for content and exposure for those brands on that campaign. I think with seeding as well, the idea is leveraging scale as well, and is what we do, I think, differentiates us as well. We do campaigns from 25 influencers all the way up to, we've done campaigns of 400 plus influencers, and I think that's the idea here with seeding is don't go for one big or few big macro influencers. You just have lots of micro nano influencers just to generate just as much, if not more, exposure and reach impressions with your product.
Okay, so I guess that many of the audience that are listening and watching today have tried a product seeding or gifting campaign. But what makes Gifta so special? What you guys do differently to have those numbers?
I think the key thing is matching the right product with the right influencer. I think that's key. We really want to drive authenticity. I think that's one thing we really shout about, and I think there's can be a bit of a taboo in in the industry with creators being paid to say certain things, right? So, and that's one thing we want to steer away from. And we found that the best way to do that is obviously no contracts or payments, but the other key thing or ethos for Gifter is that there's no obligation for them to post. So we say that if you like the product, then great, create content and share it with your audience. But if you don't, then you don't need to post. Just feedback. Why we send out feedback forms to all our influencers, and that's key. And I think something that's missed as well is that negative feedback can be just as valuable. So and a lot of the brands we work with would much rather someone just it didn't have to post and just fed back, we didn't like this product because of XYZ, right? And I think that way we can still add value back to the brand and ensure that everything that is posting is authentically posting.
Yeah, I think that this is a very key thing when you say that there is no obligation for the influencer to post anything. But I guess that, I don't know if you have found some brands or many of the brands that you have worked with, that they are kind of skeptical, I guess, when you are telling them, okay, give me this number of products, I'm going to send these products to for free to some influencers, but take in account this, that they are not going to be obligated to post. How that sounds on the brand side? Yeah,
no, you're right, and it can be a hurdle for sure, especially we do gift out relatively low value products, but sometimes we're gifting out products of a high value. And I think the key message back to the brand there is that, again, like I was saying, there is, if they don't post, there's still value, right? And it may be a product launch, so you can, or you can feed back to the R&D team that 10% or 5% of the people said this about the product, or didn't like this, and it's only going to help develop your product and reach a wider audience with that product.
Yeah. Another key thing that you have said is that you match the product with the right influencers. How do you find those influencers, and how do you do that match?
A mixture. I think the main thing is understanding the brief from the brand and understanding the product. I think that's key. We want to initially we want to make sure that we understand the product and the sort of product target audience before we then go out and find those influencers. And then from there we're then going out I mean, there's all sorts of approaches that you can make. We're fortunate that we have a database of influencers on that we've used or we've worked with on previous campaigns. So we have obviously data on those like tags and what campaigns they've been on and those sorts of things. But obviously those that don't have their own database, then influencer discovery tools like Influencity is a great obviously a great service and tool that we've used a lot. I think it's very much there's a real hustle element to it, I guess, that where you've got to keep refining. So you Influency, for example, if you've got a brief that you for female hair care product, for example, you need to kind of just start, okay, and in the UK, so okay, right, let's find influencers in the UK and then filter it down to females, and then you sort of slowly start chipping away at it. And we have much more sort of refined briefs than that. We did a campaign with Tangle Teaser, which was specifically releasing a new product for type 4C hair, which is like afro sort of hair. Okay. So again, that's a much more a very targeted product. So again, it's a case of jump on an Influencity and because again, in situations like that, we have, I think, maybe 15,000 influencers on our database. But even such a big database like that, we have to sort of come outside of our database to make sure that we're finding the right people. So we'll go again, use Influencity and other resources to then refine that brief. So yeah, like UK female, and then you can start specifically hashtags or other brand mentions, those sorts of things, which is really key in sort of refining that shortlist.
Yeah. How important is the followers number? It's something important, or is something that you don't actually care?
Yes and no. I mean, we work with influencers from 1,000 followers upwards, which again in the industry is seen as quite low. But from our experience, it's, you know, there are other metrics that you can look at, right? It's you know, content quality, but also their engagement rate, right? So you can have someone with 1,000 followers with 20% engagement, for example, and their results or engagements and reach could be higher than someone with, you know, 10,000 followers and 1% engagement. So that's one thing definitely to be aware of. But also, again, I keep going back to it, but it's also making sure that the product and the content they're going to create is what their audience is used to seeing, right? That's gonna lead to the best results.
Okay, and why? I know that at Gift that you most of the influencers that you work with are nano influencers, as you said. Why not macro? I mean, I guess that macro, from a brand point of view, who is starting to with influencers, they will think as an influencer, someone that has a lot of followers and who is more professional with, I don't know, 500,000 influencers. Why not? Sorry, 1.5 million followers. Why not sending a product to people like that, or influencers like that, instead of nano or micro influencers?
Yeah, a lot of the time, they're asking for payment. I think that's, you know, that's which, again, I can understand, like once you get to a macro scale, then, you know, there's lots of brands out there that, you know, that will pay for content, which is fine. You know, we're not against that. Like I say, our main drive is for authenticity, and I think we work with influencers with 1,000 followers, but we've worked with influencers of 100,000 plus followers, and purely on a gifted basis. And again, that goes back to just matching the right influencer with the right product. If you find a macro influencer that's, you know, wants to shout about a specific product or has got a strong affiliation to a brand, then you know, we find they're happy to work with us.
So the influencer obviously is important, but what about the product? Any product can be a gift for an influencer? We've gifted all sorts of products. For us, everything from some food products, be it ambient. We do chilled and frozen, like corn foods, for example, is one of our clients. We've done chilled and distribution for them. But then, we do. We work with Lily's Kitchen, for example, which is pet food. We do Dove, obviously, which is, you know, like lots of beauty and cosmetics brands, fitness brands. So, you know, if we can put it in a box and ship it to an influencer, we'll do it. But that said, we have started doing some events as well, which we've done this year. So rather than a physical product, we work with Cambridge Folk Festival, for example, this year, just a small sort of test campaign with them. And so we still got the sort of unboxing experience. We just sent, you know, like a little gold envelope with their ticket and some like merchandise, vouchers and that sort of thing. So rather than a physical product, it was more just almost like a call to action to go to the event, which worked really well, something different. Okay, wow, that's great. Okay, and now that we have seen how important the product and the influencer are, how do we start with the conversation with the influencer? I mean, I guess that we don't know. I mean, we just know their handle, but we don't know their postal address or anything else. How do we get this information?
Yeah, the initial approach is, I think, that we take is we with gifting and seeding, especially, is we're pitching to them, right? And that we want to make sure that we let them know about the products, the brand information, what's in the box, the theme, I guess, as well. We recently did a campaign with Kellogg's, which was about like mixing different cereals. So we sent I think 10 or 11 different of the Kellogg's range cereal ranges to the influencers and asked them to sort of mix and match all the different cereals. So I think the box value for that is relatively low, right? It's one way of looking at it is it's cereal which everyone's got in their cupboards, right? But it's all about pitching the theme. I think that's the initial thing, is getting them on board with the idea and getting their sort of creative thoughts going about how they can work on this campaign. I think that's initial sort of icebreaker, sort of like gets them on board, and then the follow up from there is then you kind of go for the more sort of personal information, like giving them the campaign dates and, can your address and name and email, those sorts of things, where it then kind of leads on from there. I think that's the main.
Okay, so you are talking all the time about a box. I don't know if you can tell more about that box. Does it have some type of personalization on it, or how it is?
Yeah, definitely. The personalization is super important to us, and I think to anyone that's seeding is. For us, as I say, there's no obligation to post, and I think we're consistently getting 75-80+% post rate on our campaigns, and a big and before we set up Gifter, we were doing some sort of industry research into sort of PR agencies, just sort of like cold shipping samples out, and they were getting post rates of less than 30%, right? So I think that's where the personalization comes in. We do handwritten notes, for example, that go in every box, and they're addressed to each influencer. I think that's a real nice sort of personal touch. I think the other way of personalizing is the product as well. So running trainers, obviously making sure that they're the right size, for example, or the clothes are right. So simple things like that. But I think the other aspect of the personalization is what color trainers would you like? Giving them a choice, or if it's a beauty product, skin tone, what skin tone for the specific makeup. I think that it personalizes the experience, I think, firstly, but also like reduces waste, I think, as well. Don't want to send you all the different skin tones for this product, and you just choose what one that suits you. And I think ultimately it drives better results. I think the more personalized the experience is, the more the more sort of human it becomes. It's not just so we're just sending you a road box and you don't hear from us. It's and they're just building up that relationship with the influencer, I think, is key.
Yeah, I see that this personalization is, or seems, very time consuming. It's time consuming.
Yeah, it really is. But we're happy to sort of take on that sort of burden and time, because it's time well spent. Like, as I say, it's time well spent in the sense that we're seeing it from the results. As I say, it's it's not just the personalization, it's the communication with the influencers, and I think flexibility is key as well. Like we're we've got a post deadline or the campaign's running, and an influencer message saying, I'm going on holiday next week, or there's when you're gifting on scale, there's all sorts of different reasons and things like that, and I think that's key as well, and making sure that it's time consuming, but like I say, it's driving the results that we're seeing.
Yeah. How do you measure those results? We can, as a brand, how we can measure that a gifting campaign is successful?
I mean, there's obviously the the standard sort of measurements of post rate, as I mentioned, like post percentage, content volume as well. I think that's one thing that's good to worth mentioning is we're seeing on average around 3 pieces of content being shared per influencer that does post, and that can be from a story to a reel to all sorts. So I think that's a good measure, is volume of content, reach and impressions, engagements, all those aspects. I think they're the most common measurements. I'd say another one is kind of like the creativity, like the results from the influencers. I guess the best way of looking at it is if we don't define and refine the brief to make it too specific, we're seeing, because of the scale that we're working on, that some influencers kind of don't go off brief. They still follow the brief, but can become really creative with it. We did I mentioned Corn before. We did a sandwich filler campaign with them recently, launching their new product, and it was just, just sent the sandwich filler, and we gave some vouchers for Tesco's to go buy some things to go with it. And we saw all sorts, from people putting sandwich filler on crumpets to in croissants to mixing it in with like pasta dishes. And this was, the brief was just to try the sandwich filler and tell us how he felt. But Corn were really pleased with, and it gave the sort of ideas for future campaigns or future activations. So I think that's another measure of success, really, is just how what the campaign produced with UGC and other ideas.
Yeah, no, that's great. And what about as a brand, can we use the content that the influencers create in any way? Are we allowed to use that content?
So organically, I say organically through like your own socials, and just good practice to tag that influencer who's created the content. That's great to see. The influencers love to see that. It's great exposure for them. It helps boost their accounts. I think that's but again, we do facilitate purchasing the rights of content as well. And again, another advantage of scale is you're saying you're getting hundreds of pieces of content from a campaign, and you can see, okay, these are the 10 favorites. So we can help with the purchasing of the rights to that, and then that can then be used on out of home or other paid socials, and it's a great way of obviously rewarding and sort of giving back to those creators in a monetary sense.
I usually get feedback from brands that have started sending some products to influencers. Maybe they sent 20, 30 products, and they didn't see probably some results, and they stopped doing these gifting campaigns. Is there any advice on this strategy?
But book a call with Gifter for sure. We can we're happy to help. But no, in all seriousness, I think a few things I've already mentioned, like definitely test and learn. We certainly have that approach. I think you won't get it right first time, but I also think the other thing is relinquishing control a bit as well, sort of editorial control. I think a lot of the brands struggle with that initially with us. I think you'll see better results, just having more trust and kind of, like say, a bit more of an open brief to the influencer. Your product's already out there, and they're going to share their experiences with your product. So I think the best thing you can do is give them as much information about your products and the brand as you can, so that when they do share, it's a fair reflection on the product. I think that's key.
That's awesome. I think that we have probably covered all the main points on a gifting campaign, which is really good, and I'm sure that it's going to be very helpful for our audience. If you want to add some tip for someone who is starting in influencer marketing, and specifically they have a product that they want to send products to influencers, please feel free.
Yeah, as I say, I think very much test and learn for sure. I think
Okay.
I think that's key. Listen to your audience, or just value the feedback. Positive or negative. I think that's key. I think it's very easy to shy away from it and sort of bury your head in the sand and don't want to listen to that. But I think that's one thing that's key. I think is to listen to the feedback.
Yeah. Feedback definitely is key in most of the cases. I totally agree. Well, thank you so much, Dean. Has been a pleasure. I think that you guys are doing a great job at Gifta. So congratulations and keep going.
No, we will. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed the chat. Like I say, don't normally do these sorts of things. So I've enjoyed talking about Gifter and seeding. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.